Boker Tov, everyone. It's wonderful to be here this morning with you. I'm Rabbi Shaner from Temple Sinai, and I'm really excited to begin the day together and to have the opportunity to connect, reflect, and remember as a community. I'm really, really looking forward to joining you on this stream every Wednesday for a couple of weeks, and to being here together as we build our community. This morning, we're going to begin with a prayer of gratitude, a simple reminder that we are lucky to be here, that we have so many gifts to be thankful for, just from waking up and stretching our legs all the way to being together on this stream, and to having the ability to say thank you at all. And so we'll begin this morning with a prayer for gratitude for our bodies and our souls, which I'll share here on the screen with you in just a sec. And so please join me where you are as we recite this prayer together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yatzar et haadam b'chokhmah, uvaravo nekavim nekavim, chalulim chalulim, galui v'yado ifnei chisech v'decha, she'im yapatech echad mehem, o yisatem echad mehem, אי אפשר להתקיים ולעמוד לפניך. ברוך אתה אדוני, רופא כל בשר ומפליא לעשות. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you have fashioned our bodies with wisdom, creating within us a finely balanced network. To stand before you in prayer is itself a fragile miracle. Eternal God, we praise you as the healer of body and spirit. And now we turn our attention to the sacred task that we're about to engage in, for the opportunity that we have to reflect this morning on ideas that help us guide us through our lives, and to focus on our tradition and on the way that it helps us to grow every day. But it's not just an opportunity, it is also a sacred task. And just like all of our mitzvot, we begin by acknowledging that fact with this blessing for the study of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed eternal God, creator of the universe, you sanctify our lives with mitzvot and command us to engage in Torah study. Eternal our God, may your words of Torah be sweet to us. Let every generation, young and old, the whole family of Israel, come to know you through the study of Torah for its own sake. Eternal God, we praise you as the teacher of Torah to the people Israel. Now, having expressed our gratitude for this opportunity to engage in the sacred task of studying Torah, we recite the passage from Torah that is most important to our people, that has been front and center with us when we wake up and when we go to sleep for ages. The statement that says we are all connected, just like everything in the universe is connected to a single point, the idea that God is one. And we reflect on that together as we recite these words of the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'chol nafshecha u'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha v'lechtecha v'derech u'shochbecha u'v'kumecha. וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם. ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת. והיה לכם לציצית, וראיתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם. ולא תעתורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונאים אחריהם. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אדוני אלוהיכם emet. We conclude our recitation of Shema with a reminder that our ancestors were in Egypt and that they were set free, and freed not just to attend to their own desires, but to engage in a holy and important project, to serve that which is higher than the self, to become part of a community, and to journey together towards a more perfect community. And so just like our ancestors today, we're going to think on that a little bit. What does it mean to take that journey? By saying one of the prayers that are in our weekday service that we don't say on Shabbat, but which is part of our weekday experience, part of our expression for the needs of the community. And the one that I want to focus on today is really about the gathering in of the Jewish people into one place. The prayer that I'm going to share on the screen in a moment expresses a hope that ultimately the whole people of Israel will be gathered in one place, and that place is the land of Israel. And though this prayer is traditionally interpreted as an expression of hope that we'll all be gathered in the land of Israel, it's also, I think, an expression of hope for unity among the Jewish people, for an ingathering of the people of Israel. And so I'll share it now, and we'll recite it together, but keeping in mind that we are meant to draw close to one another despite our differences, despite our arguments, despite our histories. We share something much deeper and more common than all of that. That we share ultimately the goal of being one people, one community with 1,000 different voices. And so we say together, Tika b'shofar gadol lecherutenu, v'sa nes lekabetz galuyatenu, v'kabtzenu yachad me'arba kanfot ha'aretz. Baruch ata Adonai, mekabetz nidchei amo Yisrael. Let the shofar proclaim our freedom. Raise a standard to draw near those estranged among us, and unite us from the four corners of the earth. Blessed eternal God, we praise you as the gatherer of the dispersed and the disconnected of the people Israel. So as I was saying, part of what makes it hard for us to feel connected as people, part of the reason we need to say a prayer like that in the first place, is that not only are we dispersed among many lands, but we are dispersed among many beliefs and many traditions. And that part of what's hard about Jewish unity, in my opinion, is that we tend to think you either have to believe one way or the other way, and that there's not a lot of room for nuance, for paradox, for contradiction. And it's the same with all kinds of things in life. These days, everything seems to be flattened out into an either or. You're either for something or against it. You're either on this side or that side. And the reality is that in people's lives, that's not how it works. That people can understand and have reasonable disagreements about all kinds of things because they are complicated, nuanced, paradoxical creatures. That's part of what it is to be a human being. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you as I start this morning together is about how I think that we do a little too much speaking about what we believe, but not enough listening and not enough feeling our way through what it is to hold those contradictions together. Many of you might know that I started my journey to becoming a rabbi through music. I was a singer and then a cantor before I became a rabbi. And I think that one of the reasons that journey, although it doesn't sound like it makes a lot of sense when I say it out loud, has felt really natural for me, is that I really see the mission of the singer and the mission of a rabbi as being pretty much the same thing: to help to build empathy in the world, to help to provide comfort for people who are hurting, and to bind people together through a text, a song, a tradition. And it's not a small thing, not a coincidence that our Torah is chanted every week, that we sing it instead of just speaking it or reciting it or teaching about it. That part of our tradition understands that we have a music that helps us feel our way into our faith in a way that statements of belief never could. Which is why I wanted to share with you this quote from the prayer book commentary of a very famous rabbi, Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, who is the former chief rabbi of the United Kingdom. In his prayer book commentary, he has this to say, that Judaism contains very little systematic theology. We speak to God more than we speak about God. And yet Judaism is a faith whose distinctive beliefs find their home in the prayer book. We don't analyze faith in an academic detachment. We sing it, affirming our faith in joy. And I think that that's a big part of why song is such an important thing to me as a rabbi. That song helps us to make the inexpressible and the contradictory and the difficult feel really real in a way that statements of belief never could. There's a difference between dogmas, of which Judaism has very little, and songs, of which we have a very, very great many. Dogmas and statements of belief are all about giving us answers that we can stand firm in, about that either or thinking. They take a text and help us to understand how we should interpret it in a traditional way, and it's about closing off the questions. But songs and prayers are really about sitting in those questions, about finding a context rather than a text, about helping to open ourselves up and live with imagination rather than belief. And so what I want to do over this next couple of weeks is to look at important Jewish hymns, what we call piyutim, and understand how they help us to live with this kind of contradiction, this kind of nuance, this kind of paradox that's at the core of what it is to be a person of faith. Because faith is really about living with questions, not having all the answers. And so today I want to share with you one of the most famous Jewish songs, Adon Olam. We sing this song at the end of services every Shabbat, and actually in the traditional prayer book, it's part of the preparatory prayers that begin every single day. And it's a poem, a piyut, a hymn, written by the Rabbi Shlomo ibn Gabirol, we think, in the 11th century. And what's amazing about this song, besides the fact that you can sing it to basically any tune because its rhyme and meter are a good fit, almost perfect for every melody you can think of, is that it's composed in a very efficient way. It's 10 lines, each of which is structured in into five couplets, right? So there are each line has a partner here, and each pair is centered around a contradiction or a paradox. So, for example, the very first line, Adon Olam Asher Malach, which says that God ruled and ruled before anything existed, is paired with the next line, Le'et Na'asa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shmo Nikra, that says when creation, the moment of creation, God became the ruler. The contradiction there is that God rules over creation, but isn't dependent on creation in order to rule, which is something, when you think about it, that is really hard to explain in a way that you can't do without poetry, right? That's part of what is going on in this song is it's helping us to feel our way into the paradoxes and mysteries of faith without having to get bogged down in trying to explain it in a way that doesn't really make a lot of sense when you talk it out. But there's a larger structural paradox that runs through this whole poem. And that is that at the very beginning of the poem, we call God Adon Olam, the ruler of the universe, a transcendent and totally outside of our experience understanding of God, a way that we can of saying we cannot even understand, actually, who God is, that God is so completely other, because God is the most powerful, most removed, and the most transcendent. And then we end by saying Adonai li v'lo ira. God is not just Adon Olam, the ruler of the universe, but Adonai, my ruler, my teacher, my friend. And by saying that God is with me personally, and you personally, we say that we can have a relationship with this God, even though God is also the completely outside of our experience, completely not understandable, completely powerful in a way that is very distancing. And that paradox, that tension, is where the music comes from in this piece. It's not just a blanket statement that's either or. It is a contradiction that gives us a tension from which music can spring, from which we can feel our way into faith and understand that it's about living with those questions. And I think that we need that because faith and tradition are not just about giving us a simple answer that we can rely on, but about helping us to live with the context of our lives, with the contradictions. So one of those that I've been thinking about lately a lot is how this COVID pandemic has simultaneously isolated us. It's kept us apart. It's kept us from being in a place where we can sing together. It's kept us from engaging in all kinds of activities that we would love to do, spend time together, including things like keeping families apart from one another. But it's also given us an awareness of how important it is that we spend that time together, and how much we rely on one another. And it's given us the opportunity to try out all kinds of new ways of engaging with one another, given us a whole new range of ways to connect, and made us more related than we ever were. And both of those things, although contradictory, are true. We have to learn to live with that contradiction in a way. And to me, that's what faith is. It's making music out of that tension, the fact that we can't be together, and yet we're here every single day, connecting in new ways. And so I hope you'll join me wherever you are We'll sing today we're just going to sing the first line of the poem, which is here on your screen. But I hope that wherever you are, you'll join me as loud as you can, and not to worry about being in tune or out of tune, because we're all in a place where no one can hear us singing, and yet we'll sing together. Adon olam asher malach בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נעשה בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא. And so now, with that paradox in mind, that we're all connected, we keep our thoughts turned to those who are in need of healing and wholeness in this moment, those who are ill, isolated, or working really hard on the front lines to keep the rest of us safe and healthy. And so we turn with that to the words of our Mishaberach prayer, the traditional words from which we express a hope for healing and wholeness for all those who are ill and for everyone. Mishaberach avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, v'imotenu Sarah, Rivka, Leah v'Rachel, v'yirapeh et kol makotenu. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu la'chalimam u'larapotam, v'yishlach lanu mehera refuah shlema v'ateret shalom, v'nomar Amen. May the one who blessed our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and our mothers Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, heal all who suffer. May it be your will to provide healing and strength. Reveal to us the holiness of life, the wholeness of shalom, and let us say Amen. And may the Holy One guard us from all severe illness. Well, just as we've had an opportunity now to connect as a community and to reflect on ideas that shape our lives and help us to live with faith, we turn now to our memories of those who are near and dear to us, those who are no longer with us in person, but who we carry with us in our hearts. And this morning, we turn our thoughts especially to those who have died in recent days and weeks. We remember Julius Bell, Diane Novak, Bill Schmelzer, Ralph Rothstein, Ben Wertleb, Anita Fleischer, Lillian Gain, Reuben Devlin, and Gerald Goldstein, as well as those who died at this time in years past who we carry with us wherever we go. Arthur Annisman, Hugo Breslauer, Rebecca Chernovsky, Royden Cowan, Martin Jacobson, Helen Lewine, Rose Levitt, Rose Politsky, and Thomas Weintraub. Whether you are in a traditional period of mourning or you are simply holding someone in your heart, I hope that you are able to find comfort as we turn towards glorified by memory and sanctified by hope, the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmeh Rabbah, be'alma divra cheru'uteh ve'amlich malchuteh, b'chayechon u'vyomechon, u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv ve'imru, Amen. Yehei shmeh Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'la'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmeh t'kudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'meromav, hu yaraseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who remember. And let us say together, Amen. Well, it's just been wonderful being able to spend this time of the morning together with you today. And I hope that we'll all be seeing each other soon, and that you're able to make today a great day, We have a couple of very special things coming up as a community. This Thursday evening, tomorrow night, we are participating in a concert and a special event being held in support of the Israeli Movement for Progressive Judaism, which is the organization that funds and runs the reform movement in Israel. And hope you'll participate in that. I know that our clergy are participating, as well as lots of amazing musicians and rabbis and other leaders in Israel and Canada. It's being sponsored by Arts of Canada, which is an organization that's very close to us. I hope you'll attend. That's Thursday evening, tomorrow night. And as always, we have our Shabbat services on Friday evening at 6:30 and Saturday morning at 10 a.m., as well as this Boker Tov stream every morning at 8:30. And I hope that we'll see you soon and see you there. So until then, be well and make it a great day.